A lot of you guys are very curious if the channel is going to die, if I'm going to continue taking psychedelics and testing different compounds on videos, and a lot of you guys are worried about me because you think it's going to trigger me, and the truth is,
according to YouTube's guidelines shown here, videos which intend to educate are documentary by nature and do not glorify the use of drugs. Both abide by the community safety guidelines and are eligible for monetization. The following video does not glorify the use of drugs. Instead, it attempts to be non-biased while delivering vital life-saving information disguised as entertainment.
hello, and welcome to my new video. For those of you who have watched the last video, you're probably very curious where I am in my journey. I stated that I had basically started taking every drug that I deem a problem for me again. I am currently 22 days clean from kratom. That was the main one of concern, so being off that for 22 days means I am much more close to finally getting my brain back to normal. By my account, I personally believe it takes about a month to recover 80 to 90% of your brain, because as a lot of you guys know, when you're taking opioids every day, it literally, physiologically rewires the way your brain fires. So when you quickly, cold turkey, remove the drug without slowly tapering off, your brain's like, what the f? Things that were down-regulated need to up-regulate, things that were up-regulated need to down-regulate, your gut changes, everything goes through a catastrophic challenge of, oh my god, now we have to reach back to our old homeostasis, and luckily the body is fantastic and the brain at bouncing back. And I think it takes anywhere from, 2 to 3 months to get back to 100%. Some people might say it takes longer, like half a year. Ultimately, it depends on two factors, one being how high your dose of opioids was, the second being just how long and how frequent, I guess that's 3, you were dosing. Anyway, so 22 days clean on that is amazing. I'm gonna have a full documentary style video coming out showcasing exactly what it looks like from an addict's point of view and what they go through each day, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are excited for that. Full disclosure, I did mess up on some of the drugs on my list. Well, at least 4 days now, I have been completely clean off everything I wanted to kick, which leads me to this video, which is essentially me breaking down the drugs that I'm still going to consume, and actually the drugs that one of my therapists advised me to take. That's right, I've been seeing therapists, and one of them told me, literally gave me the advice to consume certain drugs because it could help get me through this period, which I thought was fascinating. I, of course, won't be disclosing any details about the therapist. He'd probably be pissed if he knew I was even talking about this. As long as you guys don't know who he is, then I don't think there's any harm in me telling you what a therapist recommends. I think it'd actually be beneficial for a lot of you guys watching who are going through something similar. You might be noticing that my energy is high in this video, and that is because I have, prior to filming, consumed one of the compounds that my therapist advised me to take. So let's start off with that. A lot of you guys are worried. Ooh, this hood is too hot. It is hot in here. Oh, before we start off with that, what am I wearing? Barely in time for Christmas, we have finally a new item in stock. This is the coveted onesie. A lot of you guys have been commenting on how blown away, if you go to Reddit or even just look at some of my video comments, so many people are blown away with how soft the trip blankets were. So I thought, what's better than a trip blanket for a trip? How about a trip blanket that you can wear? We actually took the material from the super soft trip blankets and made it f***ing softer. If you have the blanket and you buy this, you compare the two, you'll be like, oh my god, the onesie's softer. This thing is unreal. It is designed by trippers for trippers, and if you've ever tripped, you know it feels so good to rub something soft on your body. So how about a wearable onesie thing? Come on. This one's too small for me. Obviously, we're gonna give you ones that fit. Also, my muscles have gotten a little big on the legs, making it super tight. This thing is remarkable. We made them from scratch. This is not like some product that's made to order that takes forever to ship. We actually have these in stock. We got hundreds of these in stock. Head on over to psychsubstance.shop and pick one of these up. I also want to point out that a lot of people sell onesies for 80 to 120 plus US dollars. I'm not interested in ripping you off. So we are selling these for, I think, $60, which is insane for a onesie. So don't let this price make you think they're lower quality. In fact, I'm taking a financial loss selling them at this price. I'm still making a profit, but not nearly as much, obviously. But I believe in selling things fairly because I think, what would I appreciate as a consumer? And I would first of all appreciate being able to afford the product. So these are not only super affordable, they are the highest quality you can imagine, and you get the added benefit of being covered in psilocybin mushrooms. What more could you ask for? Head on over to psychsubstance.shop, pick up your very own onesie. You know what? Actually, scratch that. It's not a onesie, it's a trip suit. The psychedelic psilocybin mushroom trip suit. Like I said, we got hundreds of these just ready to ship immediately. So there's no waiting, no pre-order. They're good to go. Anyway, whew, hot, hot, hot. I need to take this off. Anyway, a lot of you guys are very curious if the channel is going to die, if I'm going to continue taking psychedelics and testing different compounds on videos, and a lot of you guys are worried about me because you think it's going to trigger me, and the truth is, I'm gonna keep tripping. Are you serious? My channel is Psyched Substance. And beyond that, it's not just about the channel, it's about me. Psychedelics contain inherently untold benefits that I have only barely begun to tap into, largely because they work on amplifying where you're currently at. And if I was currently an addict, constantly taking drugs every day to numb myself, how deep do you think I could actually go with the psychedelics' help? Not very deep. Getting rid and nixing all of the problems, and not nixing, working through them, moving through the pain with the help of therapy, and everything that I'm doing now means that my psychedelic exploration is going to reach new heights. Some of you are rolling your eyes and thinking, wow, he's still going to be a drug addict. I cannot believe him. But the fact of the matter is, psychedelics are non-addictive. They are, in fact, the opposite of addictive. The drugs that I must avoid are the ones that I want to take. I don't necessarily want to trip. It's not like it's something that I want to do every day. There's no urge to keep doing it. In fact, the drugs that you must stay away from are the ones that you feel like you can't live without. If you can live without it, it's safe to take. And you would say, Adam, there's no way you could fucking live without psychedelics. Well, they're the exception, goddammit! No, but seriously. I will not be consuming any amphetamines, nothing from the stimulant class. The only exception that I would give is in the very rarest circumstances I would have a coffee. Like, we're talking not daily. No, coffee is bad daily, but if there's a crunch and I need to get something done, or say I'm climbing a mountain and I feel like I'm dying and I just need a boost of energy, in those instances I would drink some caffeine. But I must be very strict, because if I fall into drinking coffee daily, that will actually lead me to harder stimulants. I'll go back on stuff like methylphenidate. I would never touch those goddamn amphetamines again. Now, when I said I relapsed on everything, I never relapsed on amphetamines. I was not very clear with this. I didn't start taking Vyvanse. I would never touch that shit. What I was taking was some RCs. I tried things like 3-FPM, which is similar enough to amphetamines, but only a handful of times. What I was largely doing was taking my prescribed Ritalin methylphenidate, on which I dropped down to from the amphetamines to help me get videos done. And I was stuck in this never-ending loop of thinking I needed the methylphenidate to film and edit the videos. And I'm still actually working through this. One of the drugs that I messed up on was taking that when I was making a video, because I felt desperate and screwed, and I had this sponsorship contract, and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to edit this video with this sponsor if yeah, see, this is what I do when I was scratching. And yeah, I fell back on taking a stimulant, and that's one of the things that I need to avoid. So the drugs that I can take are things like psychedelics. Now that brings me to the next point. Is there anything that I'm going to be taking daily? And the answer is, fortunately or unfortunately, yes. In fact, one of my therapists, as a way to regulate my mood, recommended microdosing. Now you would say, Adam, you've microdosed in the past, you've done it for years. Joking. What do you think is it gonna do differently for you now? Again, I was microdosing while taking kratom, while drinking coffee every day. Taking any drug every day is bad, except for very few exceptions. One of those exceptions would be, in my belief, things like psilocybin mushrooms. In low doses, it can actually cause neurogenesis. It can cause the formation of new brain cells. It increases your neuroplasticity. Anywhere from 100 milligrams to max, I'd say 300 or 400 milligrams a day would be a microdose. In doses that low, it is going to have a long-lasting beneficial effect. Studies suggest that the more you take it, the longer you take it, the better off you are. Like, the more neurogenesis happens, better response of dopamine in the brain. There's all kinds of benefits that I'm not going to dive into right now. In fact, I just recently watched a video by some dude that Derek works with. His name is Leo Longevity. Great video about microdosing psilocybin mushrooms, and he explains scientifically how it upregulates, or did it downregulate? I don't know. Whatever. It resulted in better sensitivity to dopamine over time, which was amazing, and he talked in more scientific detail than I'm willing to actually get into now. It's not that I'm not able to get into those kind of details, I just have to do the research and actually, study for this video, which I'm not in the headspace to do. So instead, I'm just going to point you over to Leo's video if you want to learn more of the benefits of microdosing on a scientific and, practical, applicable level. But yeah, my actual therapist said that I would benefit from not psilocybin. In fact, he recommended, which was strange to me, microdosing mescaline-containing cacti, huachuma, also known as San Pedro. A microdose would be 500, 900 milligrams of just the crushed cactus. We're not talking about mescaline, which would be way lower, like 50 to 100 milligrams max. But when it comes to the actual, complete alkaloid-rich cactus, you're talking about almost up to a gram as a microdose. He said that would be good for me because it's very long lasting. Things like mushrooms, one of the complaint with microdosing them, at least for me, is I would take it in the morning and by the afternoon the effects would be gone. And I found myself sometimes microdosing twice. But things like huachuma, I just like that name, huachuma. What? Wachuma, or even peyote, which is rarer and harder to find, that is going to have a much more long-lasting effect. You could also supplement this with things like LSD. Microdosing any of these traditional psychedelics is going to be beneficial. The only psychedelic, to my knowledge, that you don't want to microdose is DMT, because that can be dangerous, and my brain is not firing 100% right now. I can't recall exactly why it's dangerous. Someone in the comment section jump in and say why taking DMT daily is not going to be beneficial for your actual physiological health. Anyway, so I will be practicing either daily or, one day off, one day on microdosing, which I've already started, and since I'm already so far through the withdrawals, it's actually been fine. Yeah, the only other drug that I think I would take would be stuff like nootropics that have been, again, shown with Alzheimer's patients to slightly maybe reduce the symptoms. Stuff like paracetam, which is the OG nootropic compound that I've been taking on and off for years. It can actually help, again, recover damage caused by things like amphetamine. It can help you to recover lost memory, short-term, long-term. That's, again, why it was used for Alzheimer's. And I do find that when I take it in doses of anywhere from 3 to 4 grams a day, like, my active memory is better. Like I remember things clearer. I actually find it has a very calming effect. It's also a potentiator. So if you're taking paracetam plus a microdose, get ready for the psychedelic to be enhanced, sometimes to a level that you're not ready to deal with. Meaning if you are taking them both in conjunction, you need to lower the psychedelic dose as to not be overwhelmed and find yourself in like a mini trip. It just occurred to me that I forgot to mention testosterone. Am I still taking my prescribed testosterone? And the answer is currently yes, although I have cut the dose way down. I think I'm around 150 milligrams of testosterone a week, which is way less than before. Largely the reason why I cut it down so much. Do you see this? Not my arm, but the pimples? Like, I'm getting these big ones. I've got some cream on it right now. That's why it looks so dry and flaky. I've been getting these really big ones on my arms and back and head. Look at that bad boy. That thing is gigantic. It's from the testosterone. So my skin's like, dude, you've had enough. So I cut the dose way down. Hopefully my skin clears up. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just some skin issues. But yeah. Now, the next thing that I would take is things like maybe small doses of cacao. If I really need energy, I find cacao to be more of a less detrimental stimulant than stuff like coffee. Cacao, again, is just like really raw chocolate. The active component in that is theobromine, which is exactly what dogs are allergic to in chocolate. So if you get cacao, don't let your dog touch that shit. It could die. Cacao, I find to be just slightly stimulating, but again, it doesn't offer that same rise and fall that coffee does. I find it much less intense than coffee. There's not much of a dopamine hit, at least for me. So if I really needed like a kick, I would try something like that. Again, if you're noticing a trend here, most of the compounds I have suggested are things that are natural. Now, of course, natural doesn't always mean better. I love in Leo's video, he says heroin is natural, and obviously you don't want to be taking heroin, which is from the poppy plant. Like, you don't want to be taking opium every day, right? Opium being like the full spectrum of all the opioids in one. But yeah, so my point is, just because something's natural doesn't mean it's safe. When it comes to the realm of psilocybin mushrooms, they have been researched, and the evidence does suggest that long-term use of small doses can actually benefit the brain, and it has been shown to help with things like depression. My moods are all over the place right now because I am currently healing from like alcohol, stimulants, opioids, kratom. Like, I'm healing from a bunch of stuff, nitrous daily. So something that can help regulate my mood, I think, is beneficial, which is why he suggested it. Now, you'll also notice that I'm probably talking fast. And if I wasn't, say, microdosing today, I wouldn't be at this level. In fact, today I microdosed and I mixed it with paracetam, which has actually given a somewhat of a stimulant effect without all of the downsides. The downsides being feeling like a zombie in the evening, feeling brain zap, feeling the brain fog, feeling like you're just not happy. When you take stimulants, what it does is it causes an influx of dopamine in the brain, and dopamine in high amounts is actually toxic to your brain. So the dopamine causes an increase in oxidative stress, which is very damaging, and even if you take certain supplements like NAC to mitigate that, it's not going to completely eliminate the problem. You're still getting some oxidative stress. You're still going to be depleted of precious dopamine in the evening, and our very lives, like being on cell phones all day and this instant gratification nature that we've all applied to every aspect of our life, whether it be watching TV on demand like movies, and a kid we had to get a VCR and rent them from Blockbuster, having it at our fingertips, video games, all of this shit means that we're naturally numb to dopamine. So when you're taking these drugs, Adderall stimulants that cause dopamine to be released. And then you also partake in these dopamine releasing actions like jerking off to porn, all of this stuff, massive dopamine just fucking flush down the toilet, and it takes a while for your brain to recover that. Well, when you're doing stuff like microdosing, these things can actually have a regenerating effect. They can help your brain recover from lost damage. There's a healing component to it, which is why I am implementing it. I'm not implementing it as a means to get high. It's hard to explain for those of you who don't understand. You don't really feel high off it. It's more of just a natural, authentic effect. Again, they are amplifiers, selective amplifiers of wherever your current state is. And you would argue, if a psychedelic microdose is going to amplify how I'm feeling, what if I'm feeling down? Well, yeah, sometimes they can do that, which is why a lot of caution has to be applied if you're going to practice microdosing. I'm, in case you can't tell, really excited about this new journey, because now when I'm doing stuff like microdosing and I can make reports on it, it's a valid report. It's not a mix of, oh, Adam microdose, but he was also drinking coffee and kratom and stimulants maybe every other day. Like, how is that an accurate depiction of what microdosing can do? It's not. It's just straight up, it's not. All of my videos on microdosing have immediately become fallacies because I was taking other drugs, which nullified the authenticity of the actual microdose's impact on my brain functionality. So now, when I make a new video about, oh, I've been microdosing for so long, it is going to be a realistic, real review. I have done a lot of good in the world, but I've also spread some misinformation, and all of these courses must be corrected. And what better way than to finally walk the walk and talk the talk, instead of talking the talk without walking the walk, because that's what I've been. I've been a fucking liar, as most addicts are, but no more. This marks the rebirth, the revival, the phoenix has risen of the old Adam plus new. I'm not just returning back to my pre-drug ways, where there's a large part of me that is returning back to that creative, authentic person who valued himself and his health above all else. I'm also applying all of the lessons that I've learned from going the wrong way. And if any of you guys have ever gone the wrong way for a long time, you know that the only way to learn jack shit in this life is from your failures. Those are the greatest teachers for anything you want to do in life. You learn when you fail. The dude who made the light bulb, how many times did he fail the light bulb? Well, he didn't fail. He just found out whatever it was, like 900, 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. They're not failures. They're lessons. You learn from them, you grow from them, and they help form you into your ultimate form. And I've not nearly reached my true form yet. It is a process, and the alchemy is well on its way, and I am slowly a budding flower that's just now coming out of that seed and maybe getting some sunlight and emerging, and I don't even know what kind of a flower I'm gonna. Maybe I'm not a flower. Maybe I'll be a pine tree. Maybe I'm a mushroom. Who the knows? But I'm something that's budding up, and we're just gonna receive the nourishment from the universe, and we're gonna see what the happens, and I'm gonna take all you mother lovely, beautiful humans along for the ride. So I will still be making videos, trying different psychedelics, because again, psychedelics scare me. I have a great amount of respect and healthy fear around them, and I am a seeker. This is who I am at heart. All humans, we naturally seek. When we realize that we actually don't know anything, we return to our authentic state of seeking answers. And as an explorer, I find it fascinating to explore not just the immediate surroundings, but also my internal terrain via psychedelic exploration and via expanding and opening my mind in other healthy ways, and then combining the two processes, or even three, or even my personal exploration, into one concoction that we call my life. And I'm going to share my journey with you guys. The channel's not going anywhere. It's not that I'm not going to explore anymore. I am going to explore, but now my exploration goes from the unhealthy to the healthy. And you're going to see just how much of an impact and change that actually has on not only the quality of the videos, but on me as a human, which is the most important part. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And again, head on over to psychsubstance.shop and pick up your wearable trip blanket. This one's too tight for me. pick up this onesie, which is literally a wearable trip blanket. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate everybody. I love everybody. And in case you can't tell, I am in a much better place and I'm feeling good. Cheers, guys.